And you can ask anything.
Okay.
Yeah, you really can. It's all about telling the truth.
Yeah. Well, about showing who you really are and what you're really about, which is like why I'm here, because you have so many things that are beautiful and awesome about you and different, and you're making a big influence. So
Thank you.
where do you want to start? What do you have to say?
I want to ask you the same. I want you to, when you hear what I'm doing, what is it that you want to know more about? What is curiosity for you? What's piquing that curiosity?
Well, the fact that you're able to do this for free for people, and you're able to travel the whole world. That is a dream that so many people have and aren't able to fulfill, and you're able to do it and not even charge people. So
Yeah.
that's amazing to me.
Yeah, so I would say that my story began 3 years ago. I'll just start a little bit of the details. I was very cush in my job. I had benefits and insurance and salary and mortgage, and everything was just like, a friend of mine called it the hamster wheel. So it was just working. And so then the call started to come in my heart that one of the main reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I was not living the dreams that I knew were calling me because of money. And the thing about this is that these are things that we allow ourselves to say this dialogue. We say, oh yeah, this is something I want to do someday, but someday because I have to pay the bills. It was that phrase, and we're at parties and we're at gatherings, well, we got to pay the bills, and everybody knows that's right, and I know that's right, and it's good. We have kids, you have kids, and I just didn't want the conversation to end there, and I started to realize I was doing that for myself. I was ending the conversation way too many times, right then and there, and someday. And so when I knew that I got to be a full-time musician, it makes sense to ask for money for those services, and yet I wanted to take it deeper. And I am someone who is really ready to surrender into trust, and that's a gift. That's a gift. And so I took about 2 years while I still had my day job. That's really important to emphasize. I took about 2 years of weeding out scarcity mindset, this consciousness of abundance, so I could flow within that while I'm still getting my paycheck. And then it started to get more and more uncomfortable to stay in my job, and more uncomfortable to leave, but it was the right place to go. So when I leapt for the first time, I still had savings. I had that as my cushion. I had enough to make it for 6-7 months. And I really thought, I get to tell you honestly, I thought that the experiment would end in about 6 months. I thought I would be done. And when I got to the East Coast, so from Utah to the East Coast, I had the opportunity to lean in deeper. So that was about the time where I could get a new job, I could start all over, because I still had my savings. So I was using my savings for the first 6 months. So that's a appropriate way to do an experiment in life. So it wasn't yet getting me to the deeper place. The one thing that I'll note though is it was in that time that I had my first panic attack. And it wasn't because I was out of money. It was because of the fear of running out of money. So I still had money in my account, but the scare of, I don't know how I'm going to make it in like a couple months. I'll be done. And that's where this fear came in. And I was in Boston when I had that panic attack, realizing when savings run out, then I don't know who I am at that point. I don't know what I'll be. And so that was the chance I had after I had that, oh my gosh, there's no way this is sustainable. There's no way that I can continue to do this unless I get clear in that internal landscape. And that was the opportunity I had to lean in deeper. Thank you. Or get a job.
Yeah.
And I decided to lean in, and I can tell you all sorts of details of how it's working financially since then, but that was my key moment where I decided to lean in, and that meant that now I had pretty much nothing and ready to launch into the true adventure of trust beyond money physically in my account.
Mm-hmm. Surrendering to the universe or God or whoever was behind you.
Exactly.
Like, I'm literally putting myself in your hands. Please don't drop me.
Exactly, and that I would, for those first 6 months, I was doing house concerts with friends. So they were having me stay at their home and hosting concerts. So I was in, one of my favorites was in Wichita, Kansas, and on my birthday. And a friend of mine got this beautiful venue. There were like 30 people there, and really, really lovely. Someone was really inspired by my concert, and so they gave $100 because they were so inspired. And so these little things were creating moments of, wow, I feel like I have something special here to give, and people are receiving it. But I didn't have to trust all the way yet because I still had savings and I had friends. But when I had that panic attack, it really changed everything. But when I did lean in, I then had all of these openings for when it went international. So international doors then started to open. So the way that worked, with the three-dimensional ways of, money is, I had someone paying for my plane ticket because they wanted me to be their travel companion in Russia. I had a friend want me to be their nanny when they went to Israel. So I got to do that gift exchange where they helped pay for that trip too. So all of these things started to work out. And that's how it began, of saying, okay, so when I lean in and I give more of myself to this thing that I'm dedicating my life to, then life has to show up for me because I'm showing up. Mm-hmm. And then in the meantime, I had to do a lot of work so that I didn't inner work, so I didn't have another panic attack again. I can't do that. I can't keep doing this. I might as well just go get my job again. There's no way. So I got very committed, and this is something that I'm very resolute about, is doing my daily practices. Like, I just didn't have the luxury to not. Mm-hmm. So this meant daily audios to nourish my brain with new neural pathways. It meant reading books that nourished me. And some days I just let myself give up. I just get to be really honest about that. Giving up is one of my best tools.
Really?
I give up about 2 or 3 times a month. Completely give up.
So what does that mean? What does that entail, giving up?
So it can range from not getting out of bed for 3 days. Okay. Like, really, when I'm in these foreign countries, you're not putting that on Facebook, like, here I am, like,
I don't want to do it today.
Or at least I'm not. People can, and I honor what people get to do, but I'm not, because I just want to have those moments of giving up, surrendering, and so giving up means not taking a shower and not getting out of bed and crying my eyes out for about 3 solid days. It seems like there's this magic of 3. Yeah. So on the morning of the 4th day, I may not feel any better, but it's like that switch, this tiny little switch, is like a new thought, a new something. I'm a big believer of giving up. And I like using the word give up more than I like the word surrender, because if I'm going to actually give up, I want to even give up the word choice of trying to sound new agey.
Of trying to sound productive.
Yeah, like, I surrender still sounds like I'm trying.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I want to just give up. Like, I give up. This is too hard. Mm-hmm. Another way that I give up is I just tell the truth. The truths that are too hard to hear and I'm embarrassed about, I say them all.
To other people or to yourself?
My sister's been my travel companion and best friend through all of this and beyond, but this specifically. And so, she's a safe place. And I have 3 or 4 core people that I can just give up with all the time. And my result is when one time I gave up when I was at this music concert. in Boston, same era. And I just texted one of my best friends and I said, "You're going to be so proud of me, but I totally gave up today." And she responded pretty quickly. She's like, "I'm so proud of you." So in my community, I've created a safe place. We all get it. We all get that you have to give up, or at least I do.
So emotionally, what does that mean as well when you're giving up? You're just being like, I'm not going to try and be strong today.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let myself feel.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Feel. I'm a big believer of releasing anything that could be stagnant. I actually believe that strength comes from feeling instead of feeling like I have to be strong. To feel vulnerable is actually the strongest thing. Now I do keep that quiet in the moment. Like right now I can say it because it's a story form.
Yeah.
That happens, it's not happening at this very moment.
Yeah.
I've been considering what that looks like, to make that more public. But the reason why I don't in the moment is I'm not doing anything so that people feel scared for me. I can't handle anyone's fear in the moment. I don't want to take care of you or your feelings when I'm having a hard moment and I've totally given up. Like, well, what does that mean? Are you going to be quitting your experiment? Like, oh my gosh, deal with your own stuff. Just listen to me. It's a whole other things. But the reason why I even mention that is because what I'm doing is so public. I've dedicated my music, my tour, my growth, my light work. I've dedicated everything to the whole. And so I, like how for this interview, I've given you permission to ask me anything, because I am so leaning into the power of humanity, and so I'm not going to be very private about a lot of things. It doesn't serve me, because there is so much power in humanity for experiments like this. And so one last thing, and then I want to hear your next question, because it looked like you had one. That's what I finally understood. The gift economy is based on the truth that the more I give, the more I receive. And I used to believe that I had to earn the receiving. So I better give, because I'm a really, really hard worker. So I better give. So when I would be a host or a guest in someone's home, I better show up so that I can receive, but not with any obligation or requirement or expectation. I just have to do that because I was like having this fear of like, well then I can't receive unless I give. And I've relaxed a lot. That's a lot of my maturity as I've done this. And so I'm leaning in and giving in the spirit and in the foundation of joy. And if a gift is coming from joy, there's relaxing, there's this sense of ease, and that is one of the best parts of humanity, that we can have that level of joy that I want to give to you because you exist, you're my sister, and you want to give to me, so I'm going to receive it. And it's just it's easy, and it's taken me about 3 years of this experiment, and I'm very committed to that now, more than ever,
because it can be hard to receive.
And that's a big part of this. Yeah.
Because you are in other people's hands sometimes, and like a little bit dependent on their generosity as well, and that can feel really awkward, like you owe them something or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How have you gotten over that feeling of being in someone's home and feeling at home there and feeling like not an obligation?
So 2 parts. I wonder if I'll get to both. I'll say the first is I am continually expanding my ability to receive because I'm so willing to give, and I wanted it to balance. So so often, especially as women, I see us giving, and then we just like receive like it's not balanced. So it was a very precise focus that I had of I'd like to balance that out. And so I started actually in New Hampshire at this potluck, where I decided that I was done with that and I was going to do an experiment, because the worst that can happen, I love the word experiment because It means if I tell people I'm doing an experiment, there's a lot more compassion than as if I know what I'm talking about. Because I'll tell you right now that I have no idea. I never even read a book about gift economy. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I freely say that to the world. No clue, but my heart does, and so it's going to lead me. So if I say the word experiment, everyone's a little bit kinder to me. Oh, okay, so she doesn't know what she's doing, but like her heart's in the right place.
I'm stealing that.
It's yours! It's totally yours!
Because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, I came in here, I don't really know what
I'm doing.
I'm
doing an experiment. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, so she's like, well, I've experimented before. We all get that. In my sessions that I do with people, I also tell them that. Like, give yourself permission to just do a life experiment. People really like that. Especially like friends and family who want to critique your life, you can just be like, well, I'm doing an experiment and we're seeing how that works. And if I fail, I'd still like to have you be part of the adventure with me. Do you want to be part of it? If it's too hard for you, then maybe wait till the experiment's over and come back later. So in New Hampshire, I was doing an experiment. Oh my gosh, it makes me so excited to talk about this because it changed everything. Yeah. I went to this potluck, this organic, yummy, on the farm potluck with this beautiful group of yogis and good people. And I decided that I was going to take too much. I was going to take too much. I was just going to take too much. Too much food, too much dessert. I'd let them do the dishes after. I was just going to receive, like, the whole time. Like, that's it. I was so uncomfortable with that. Like, I have to show up, right? Like, I have to give, and they don't know that I'm doing an experiment. I'm not going to announce it. So I ate my first plate of food, and then I went back for seconds, and then I went for dessert, and then I went back for more dessert. And it's funny because one person, everyone's done eating. But I went back, and I went and got more salad. I mean, it was so obvious. I made it obvious, but I was practicing. I really want to know this because if I wanted to know how I was going to feel if I took too much. So someone said, like, they're kind of done, and everyone's like starting to do dishes, and I'm still eating. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. Someone's like, wow, seconds, huh? Oh, wow, seconds on dessert too, huh? And so they were like commenting, and I said, yeah, it's really, really good. Thank you. Who made this? Thank you so much. This is so delicious. I want more of everything. And so I was for sure, gracious. And then afterwards, someone, like 2 or 3 of them were happily doing dishes, and I just gave them my dish to do. Because they were doing a lot of people's dishes. But I didn't offer to do them. Like, thank you so much for doing the dishes. And then I was done. And I looked at that, and people listening to this right now might be like, rude, like completely rude. But it makes me want to cry. It blew my mind because when I was leaving, my feedback was that people felt my authenticity. I was invested in the conversation. I was listening during the meal. I wasn't like scared or like, oh, none of that was there. I was present. And this was the universe. I felt like this was the universe saying, let yourself be here. Like, this is the banquet of life in front of you. And there are some days where all I get to do is the dishes. I'm the one doing dishes the whole time. This is not that moment. So this is your moment to learn this experiment. And since then, I've to answer your question, when I'm in my host's house, I make sure it feels good to me to give. I love giving couples a night out when they have kids. I can only imagine, you're a mom. I love coming in and saying, hey, I'm here and you're allowing me to stay in your home. Take a night out. Just last week, I had the opportunity to give a couple 2 nights. They got to take a 2-night retreat out of town away from their 3 kids.
Wow.
That's exciting to me. It feels good. Like, there's like this excitement that I have, and so I get to balance. I've been able to get to that place of balance of giving and receiving, and I have the capacity to receive more than I ever have. And I'll say one more thing about that, and then I'd love to hear what else you want to ask. One of the things that I've realized so far, I'm the first exposure that a lot of people have to the gift economy, and so they have a lot of questions, and I do too. I've dedicated my life to knowing this so that we can get out of our way to really connect with each other. The currency is relationships, and that does not, for me at least, take money out of the equation or riches or wealth. So a lot of people, they look at me, and so far my job has been to weed out my own scarcity so it looks like I'm poor. Like I've been poor when it comes to a lot of most financial or wealthy things, but I'm very, very rich in relationships. And yet in this realm, I get to live in a limitless place. The more I give, the more I receive. That means if my heart is wide open and I choose exactly the experience I want, it's open to everything. It's open to not saying, oh, well, I have to just be poor and meager so that I can show that relationships are where my wealth is. No. The amount of gifts that we can receive are this huge, and the relationship. And so far it's been these little tiny gifts here and there because I've been playing small. So this is exciting, and this moment gets to be documented that I am ready to receive bigger than ever. Gifts can go so big. Like people can give me houses. I mean, it doesn't have to go small. And that's all of my work. That's been my work. And I'm going and traversing through this, and I'm ready to be the one, with the machete going through the jungle first, so that I have absolutely no interest in promoting or saying, hey, everybody, live in a gift economy. Oh no. But there are ways that everyone has the opportunity to lean into their own story of what it can look like to really connect, and that's something that we really want as humans. We want to connect deeper, more fulfilling, so that we're not isolated. And the gift economy is based on tribal mentality of like, hey, you're here for me, I'm here for you. Let's share life together. That's like get in there and be real with each other. And so that's rich. That's really, really rich, and there's no limits to that.
I love that. Well, it's also you recognizing your worth and that what you're giving does have value. That's so important. When I was listening to you just now, being like, you really have to feel confident that I am giving you something in return. And some people think that only has to be material goods and money and stuff, that's the only thing we exchange, but it's not. You're exchanging experiences, good times, and like I said, like a babysitter, that would cost someone money, but you're someone that they can trust. And that is your contribution to what you're doing. And that it is a worthy contribution as a parent. I'm like, yeah, 2 days away, like, that is, like, priceless, because it's so hard to find someone to do that. And that resets your whole year, your whole relationship, everything.
Yeah.
And so, this, just for anyone trying, like, interested in doing that, it would be a big step to do that, would be to first realize how much value what you have and how much value what you're doing is.
I see no greater work than giving myself, and this anyone can apply for themselves, but I'll speak for myself. It's one of the most valuable spaces that I've allowed myself to be in, is to value my gift to the world. And that's why I specifically am utilizing music and dreams as my passion that I sing about. So the gift economy, I'm a musician living within a gift economy, so that I can sing, I can create this atmosphere of your dream. There's nothing more important than your dream. And that's it, because I now know my value, because I've committed to it. And the money and the gift economy is this really great experiment, this great foundation of playgrounds that I get to play on, and that's a whole other thing. So I can weed out all of this guck of fear and all of that. But what you just said is the most important work that I feel like all of us can do. It taps right into why we're here in the first place. What is your gift? What's your contribution? And the dream inside of you is asking you to be your contribution, because then you have no doubt of your worth. I know that when I walk into a room, I'm important. And of course I have my doubts and insecurities. But one of the best things that I've learned is I very much connect to the spirit of the Empress. And I've had very spiritual connections with Empress, with Queen. And one of the things that maybe people don't think about unless they're doing that work is a true queen is to be of service. And it's a queen is to my queen work, my Empress work is so secure that when you come into the room, I see an Empress, and it serves me to see you as an Empress so that we can be Empresses together. I want to work with people who know who they are and who are ready to do that work. It serves no one to think that I'm better or you're less, or vice versa. That's insecurity. There's no room for that in this world of your worth doesn't actually threaten me whatsoever.
And that's how the gift economy works, is saying, I have something of value, you have something of value, we're going to put these things together to make our lives better and have fun.
Yeah, and what the ultimate ideal dream in a gift economy is that we all do believe in our gift, and we are living it without barrier or fear or limitations. We're ready to be courageous and saying, no, without a doubt, this is my gift. I'm going to do it because I know that living my gift serves you. I'm actually expecting you to do the same for me because I don't have that same gift that you have to give to me in return. And we deserve that.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like the way that our world is now, we have different values on different gifts. So it's like, oh, well, you're a doctor, so that means doctors are very important, but so are teachers, right? And almost, in different areas, more important, but the teachers get paid way less than a doctor. And so in the gift economy, that's not the case. Everyone is equal. And then you'll have people that loves to teach, being teachers, instead of being like, well, but I also love to travel, and so I'm going to do a different job that I make more money to do these other things that I love.
Yeah.
And you're living proof that you're saying, hey, I love to just be around people and make music and have fun, and that is supporting me.
It is fun and humorous that I'm going right through that starving artist musician facade that people. It's really easy. If I was a doctor going around, something would be different about that. Like people, oh, that's so great of you, and it's a whole. The respect is different now. Actually, even while I'm saying that, it's not actually true. Even if it is true that people see that mine is being a musician is lesser on the scale, I don't spend any time in that world or spend time with people who feel that way. So like it's not even a real thing. So I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's not true. It's not my experience
music
at all.
heals.
Yeah, and I just really believe in what I have to offer. So I can't think.
You can't even talk about it. You're like, that's not even
like, oh yeah, that's actually not a thing. That could be a thing for someone else, but not for me. Which is wonderful.
That's like you have so much confidence and you're just radiating that, and it's not a selfish confidence. It's a very like you feel confident in other people's worth too. That's what I feel when you're talking about all this.
I appreciate that
feedback. That you're not looking down at me because you look so highly upon yourself, but you look so highly upon life.
Yeah, I really trust what you just said. I have over and over and over again committed to being of service and dedication to the world. It's where my greatest joy lies.
And that's a huge thing. That is like, to me, that is one of my things in life, is saying, hey, I've got these talents that aren't just for me. That's not why I'm here. It's just to like hoard my talents and be alone. It's because I'm meant to do something for other people.
Yeah.
But the trust that you have in the universe is very powerful, and it's very influential for people. And I think that a lot of people could benefit just from hearing of your story of how, and it's working out for you.
It is working out, and one of the greatest tools I can possibly offer anyone who's ready to do any kind of experiment is to get really comfortable with being uncomfortable. I have a really good relationship with being uncomfortable. So it's working for me, and in an interview where we're sitting here in this lovely house, it looks like it's working out just fine. And it is. I'm still alive, and I've been doing this now for 3 years and 2 months. My level of uncomfortability has been significant. Where, I mean, I won't go into a lot of detail of this right now, and the reason why is because I'm still in some of the game of this. And so it doesn't serve to actually share too many details of this quite yet. But because I've dedicated my life to being of service, specifically about limitations around money, I have allowed myself to play the game of living some of the worst fears that people have, of why they don't live their dreams. Mm-hmm. I'm living through them.
But once you overcome them, then they're no longer there, right?
Right. And so that's why, if you wanted an example, I can tell you some in the past, but there's some that I'm playing. Some of the games I'm playing are humongous. And I use that word on purpose, the game, that this is a game. It really serves me to let go of some of the seriousness of it. And I know this is very serious. It's very serious work that we're doing, and
but it is fun too.
I've told my guides, I've told myself, I won't do it unless it's fun. I can always go back to a job. I mean, that's always an option. Nothing's wrong with that. Everything's good about that, actually. But so I've been living some of the worst case scenarios that I was preparing to live if necessary, but didn't want to, and living right through them and walking right through them. And sometimes they take months to get all the way through. And then I look back, I'm like, so when people say that fears are just an illusion, it's like real. That's a real thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've been living a lot of the worst case scenarios, and I dedicate every single moment to humanity's freedom, which is why I must stay in that place of dedication to humanity, which I am, because I receive so much support emotionally and energetically to keep going, because humans want to be free. Mm-hmm. So as much as I'm feeling completely alone and exhausted and feeling like I can't go on, and I start looking for jobs, which I've totally done, like I can't do this anymore. Then I get this little whisper of keep going just a little bit longer. And sometimes the answer is gun it. Just gun it. Like, you don't think you have anything more, just gun it. And I just got that last week, actually. I'm like, and in the middle of it, I find energy, and a lot of it is because of being part of the whole. Because we want to be free. And when I say that there's nothing wrong, I mean, everything is good about having a job, unless someone knows that they feel enslaved. If they feel enslaved, something is, or that their dream is calling them, then that's where I want to continue the conversation. Like, are we ready to have something shift? You're not enslaved. You are actually very powerful. Well, I have to pay the bills. Good place to start. Now let's just talk a little bit. Are you open? Are you open to something possible? Because I believe in the dream having its